Hey everybody! So if you've been following my making an animated film series for a while, then you'll know that in my film, Big Mountain, the main character Alvar begins the film working in a bakery with his friend Smoggy. Today I'm going to be trying to draw that bakery. I somehow ended up following a load of Instagram accounts that do these really cool paintings of buildings, and I felt a little bit inspired. I felt like I wanted to try it myself for my own idea. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Without further ado, we might as well get on with it. I'll run through everything in a voiceover while I'm doing it, so let's go! So I started off by mapping out three main parts of this bakery building. The first of which is the cafe part where the customers will eat and be served. I wanted this part to be very open. A lot of cafes have a kind of covered outside bit where people can sit in the sun, so that's what this is. It's got no walls and it's really just supported by these big beams that come down. But there is a more solid upstairs to this part of the building, and that's where Alvar is going to live. That's kind of his room where he sleeps. And speaking of which, the middle part is where Smoggy will live, in his chimney. I like to imagine that Smoggy has kind of a little miniature room in that attic space there. Below that is where all the glass display cases for cakes and pastries will be, and it's also where the kitchen kind of starts, which leads me on to the biggest part of the building, and that is the mill. The mill is where all the machinery will be, and it's definitely where most of the baking is done. And this mill is kind of a bit of a double act as far as mills are concerned, because not only is it a windmill, but it's also a water mill as well. Why it needs both, I don't know. I just like how windmills look, and I also wanted a water wheel. So finding a use for both of those is going to be tricky, but I suppose it doesn't matter if they're not necessarily used for their proper things, because a windmill's usually used for like grounding up flour and stuff, isn't it? So, and I don't think that's going to be the case in this one. But anyway. So put together, it all looks a bit higgledy-piggledy, but honestly, that's kind of the aesthetic I was going for. And to fit with that, I also wanted the baking process to be a bit wacky. So let me explain what I've come up with so far. So at the start of the film, Alvar and Smoggy will be prepping their famous festival cakes or pastries, which unsurprisingly are for an upcoming festival later that day. So the way that works is Alvar whips a load of ingredients into a big pan, just as he would do normally, which forms a mixture, and then he starts the sails of the windmill turning, which makes a big spoon swirl the mixture around. Once that's done, Smoggy wakes up, comes out of his chimney and starts to spin a lever on the roof, which will be connected by a series of cogs to a conveyor belt that has a load of scoops hanging off of it, and as they go past, these scoops will pick up bits of mixture one by one and take them along the conveyor belt over the kitchen, eventually reaching where the ovens are. Once they're at the other end of the kitchen, they'll pour into baking trays or moulds, and when each tray is full, Smoggy will press a brick in on the roof, which turns the surface that they're on into a slope, and the tray will slide down into the oven. Pressing this brick will also flip the tray that's already in the oven, meaning the pastries will fly out onto another slope which is on the other side of the oven, and they'll slide down that slope and into some baskets which are below. The baskets will be floating on a waterway, and they'll be taken by this waterway down over a water wheel to then slowly float around to the front of the bakery. And these baskets will collect up near the shop front so that Alvar can just pick them up and put them in display cases. I haven't really thought about the ins and outs of how all the cogs are connected or anything like that, so it's not very technical yet, but I do know that I want this opening baking scene to be as fun as possible. So in terms of the overall drawing, I think it does work. I maybe should have added some more plants and flowers to the walls of the windmill because it looks a bit plain at the moment, and I think that effect works well on the roof with the chimney. I do realise it's not the highest quality drawing in the world, but it definitely started to look a bit better once I added some colour, and considering how unprepared I was going into this, it hasn't turned out too bad. Anyway, I finished up the drawing and that's all I really did today. So yeah, here's the final drawing. So there you go guys, we did it. I guess let me know what you think of it in the comments. Just before I go, I do want to say a big thank you from the bottom of my tiny little heart to all the people that sent in their own artwork of the main characters that I drew last week. So to anyone who sent me some fan art on the Discord, I really do appreciate it. They were all really good. Here, I'll put some of them on screen now. Wow, look at these. Good job, guys. Yeah, it was just really nice seeing all the different styles that people draw in. So thank you again. For now though, that's it for today. And remember this, big mountain may be big, but in the words of Marvin Gaye, ain't no mountain high enough. Something to think about. Okay, bye.